Hey, what's up, guys? This is Seriously Silly with another paintball video. This time featuring an oldie but a goodie, the Smart Parts Ion. I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about my experience with it. I know it's not the latest and the greatest, and actually a lot of people look down on the Ion, but I still think it's a decent marker. It's good for beginners or intermediate. It's a fun project if you want to build one up. It can be had for cheap, and still a basically good marker if you take care of it. Actually, my first paintball experience involved a Ion. I went with church to a paintball outing out in Pennsylvania for my very first time, and I didn't want to use a rental, so I asked my close friend who played paintball if I could borrow his setup, and he let me borrow his upgraded Ion along with other things. And I just remember it was such a blast. I had a good time. It fired really well. It was very accurate, and actually, one funny story was, since it was my first time, I was a little unsure on how to turn it off, and I was out, and I was setting the gun down. Fortunately, I had the barrel sock on, but anyway, when I was putting it down, it had a very light trigger, and I don't know what happened. I set it down. I must have hit the trigger, and it fired a shot right by my face. I had the mask on and everything, but it just scared the heck out of me. Good thing the barrel sock was there, otherwise I would have tasted paint also. So, long story short, I've been playing for a while. I've had quite a few guns. I've had, MacDev, Dangerous Power, Eclipse, a few other ones. But I never really had an Ion up until recently. I did fix a friend's Ion that was having some problems with leaking. And so I learned how to maintain an Ion through that one. But I never had one to call my own. Until recently, I found somebody that was quitting, and I bought his gear bag. So I sold all the other things for basically the amount of money I paid for it, and that left me with the Ion for free. It was already upgraded, so what I wanted to do was basically keep it, have fun with it, use it as a backup, use it as a loaner. I know people out there have quite a few guns and use it as a backup to a backup, which you can easily do because it's so cheap, and I had nothing to lose by keeping it, so I wanted to have some fun with it. So basically, the stock Ion is nice. However, there are some things that I would consider necessary upgrades and nice upgrades. The necessary upgrades I would consider would be a back out body that gives you easy access to the bolt. I know with a stock body, you basically have to take the whole gun apart, take out the banjos, take out the breech and everything to even be able to just lube the bolt. So buying a cheap body like that gives you easy access to take out the bolt out the back and just do regular maintenance easily. The other one is the bolt. There are many lighter, quieter, more efficient bolts out there that you can basically head for pretty cheap, 10 to 15. You can go all the way up to $35 for the Tech TL7 bolt, and it significantly changes the sound signature of the Ion. It makes it a lot quieter, it makes it more efficient. So those are the things that I would consider recommended upgrades. The other ones are nice to have, not necessarily necessary for the user, but it makes things a lot easier. One would be a clamping feed neck, an on-off ASA instead of just having to twist it all the time. A regulator, or maybe even the trigger. A lot of people don't like the plastic trigger because it breaks easily and it has side-to-side play. So those are things that are nice to have, but not necessarily as important as the bolt or the body. So I'm glad to have had that Ion for at least for a little while. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. I met somebody that was interested in it and actually paid, asking price for it, so I sold it to him. But I missed that marker, and as you can tell from the video, it was nice, quiet, extremely smooth, and very fast on semi. So what I'm going to try and do now is start another project if I can. I have a few Ion parts right now, so I'm going to slowly try to acquire some more parts and build another Ion. Hopefully it'll be just as sweet, maybe a little bit better. I did keep some of the upgraded parts for myself. I gave them some of the stock parts or less expensive upgrades so I could use it on my next build. So like I said before, the Ion's not the latest and the greatest, but it still does its job. It'll take care of you if you take care of it. It's an easy project, a fun project. Parts can be had for pretty cheap, and you can basically customize every or any part on it to whatever suits you best. Now my advice is, if you want to start your own project, is if you have an Ion and you are considering buying upgrades for it, first thing you'll have to consider is if you want to keep it for a while, because if you keep it upgraded and you sell it, you're not going to get as near as the amount of price that you paid for it. So, definitely consider that. If you plan on keeping it, I'd say, go for it, keep it. If you do plan on selling it in the future, I would suggest keeping the stock parts that you have on in a box. Keep it somewhere, so when it's time to sell, put the stock parts back on the Ion, sell for a reasonable price. And as far as the upgraded parts, sell it individually if you have time, because there are definitely a lot of people still looking for upgraded Ion parts, and will definitely pay a reasonable amount for those parts. So that's definitely the way to go if you want to at least get most of your money back from these Ion parts. Now, when I say reasonable price for a stock Ion, I mean about $50 to about $100 for a stock Ion. I know there are still a few Craigslist postings out there, or local postings that list a stock Ion for like $150, $250, which is pretty crazy for this point in time, because for that amount of money there are so many more selections in terms of markers that you can get that are better performing right at the time. No need to get as many upgrades for basically the price. So if that's one thing to consider when you're going to sell a stock Ion. Basically, right now it's about maybe, I guess, $50 to $100 if you're lucky. So once again, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for listening to me. When you get a chance, like or subscribe it, or give me any comments on what I can do to improve the videos. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks.